The worlds of the art and the internet have been consumed by this idea of an NFT or a non-fungible token, but it's also possible, and indeed we're seeing more reports of people getting scammed. Now, let me start by just explaining what an NFT is so you understand how the scam works. Our guests this week are Meg Coffey, social media strategist, and Cam Wilson, associate editor with Crikey, and the job of explaining what an NFT is falls to you to start with.
The best way to think of it is kind of like a little certificate that says you own something. You own this digital file. You're the only person that owns this. And we can send you to go and see this object. So we can say this is the certificate that you own this piece of art, and we'll link you to where that art is on the internet.
Although people, literally everyone, will still also be able to see that stuff on the internet.
Exactly. And it's kind of like the same way that, you can see the Mona Lisa anywhere you want, but only one person can own the Mona Lisa. Anyone can see your artwork, but you can say, I own this thing.
So vast swathes of the internet have started to monetize bits of internet ephemera. Of course, this week, the viral video Charlie Bit My Finger was sold as an NFT. But as NFTs have risen, so too have scams, Meg. Meg, where are the sorts of places in which people are getting scammed?
Look, it's fascinating because as Kim was saying, you get this little certificate that says that you own it, but the certificate in itself isn't actually something tangible. It's just it's a code that leads you to a URL or a destination where this thing lives. But all you have to do is misspell one letter or change the URL or pull it off the internet, and you can no longer access it, despite what that currency might say. So people are getting scammed because they think that they're buying something that, well, first of all, doesn't actually really exist except for on the internet. And then the technology behind it is so advanced that things are just disappearing with the change of a letter or the change of a URL. NFTs do my head in. I know they're the newest, biggest thing, but I just don't see how it's legit.
I think we can kind of separate the idea of NFTs into two categories. There's the technology, and then there's how it's actually playing out at the moment. I think the technology is revolutionary. I think the idea of being able to say that you own and you have the copy of this thing is something that we will look back on and be like, this will actually be a big part of how we use the internet in the future. But how it's working at the moment, I think we're in the very early days of the industry where we've got, these like companies that have popped up, they're marketplaces. So they offer you the ability to show an NFT and then for you to buy it. And they have been kind of struck with problems. The certificate says you can go here to see the thing. Where that address takes you, whoever's hosting that, it's gone. And so I personally wouldn't really buy an NFT at the moment. I think that we will see this mature. They will become more standard, but I don't think it's quite there yet.
I would be looking at the legitimacy of the marketplace and what other things they host, what other things they sell, what other transactions they've held. I'd look at the exact type of currency that's being used, which version. Is it, Dogecoin? Is it Bitcoin? What is it that you're using to buy? Is it something brand new? In some of these scams, they are these new marketplaces that just sort of pop up and they say, this is where it's hosted. But if you are going to spend real money, money that you've worked hard to earn, do your research. Make sure that you understand where you're putting this money, what you're actually getting in return, and as much understanding of the legitimacy of the platform as possible.
Cam?
I'd probably just say don't spend anything you can't afford to lose. It's pretty speculative at the moment. So, knowing that you might have a chance at getting a really interesting part of internet history, but not really holding out for more than that.
There's a huge market in people buying and selling internet memes as NFTs. So there's like the famous meme of the disaster girl. So you might have seen this image on the internet of a house on fire, and then in the foreground there's like what looks like a 5 or 6 year old girl looking slyly at the camera as though she did it. Those memes aren't disappearing from the internet. You can still copy them and use them. It's just the idea of owning them is what's being sold.
I'm actually kind of happy about that a lot of internet memes are being sold as NFTs because, there are all these parts of internet history that have been created by random people. They've had their image taken, remixed, used in all other contexts, often commercialized by other people, but very often they don't get a cut of any of this. So, this can go anything from the meme you were talking about to like, I saw the person who took that famous meme photo of Harambe, the gorilla who died. Actually, the 5-year anniversary of his death was this week, RIP. The photographer who took that original one sold that. It's a way of creators who've done something that's clearly, for whatever reason, struck a chord to be able to cash in. And ultimately, I think that's probably a good thing.
What do you think, Meg?
I totally agree. The girl that looks like she set her house on fire, she made enough money off that to actually buy a house. Totally agree on the creators getting credit and finally getting their due for it. But some of these things, I don't understand why you care enough to spend that kind of money.
One of the things the internet did is the internet meant it was very easy to share things very fast, and for a long period of time, nobody made money. And, obviously in the areas of movies and music, streaming services have become a mechanism with which things have been paid for. But there is this realm of like pure internet culture, right? Where, internet memes and people who become viral videos, there's very little mechanism until now with which you can turn that into money. You can get something for that notoriety. It's almost like it's adjusting for all those years of not having money made from their likeness.
We're seeing what is worth money is becoming so detached from what is physical, and there's no like correlation anymore. What really matters is how much people are kind of hyping it up and how many people want to own the thing that you have. And with internet memes, that's one of the purest ways to kind of do that. You sell an idea and you can make money off it. And as long as people are in it, you can kind of, if I bought it for this much, and then there'll be more excitement around it, people will probably want to buy it for more in the future, or they might not. But people are clearly taking a chance on these.
All right, there is lots more of this in the podcast. To download this show, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts.